Bitter heat in the summer, brutal cold in the winter. Violent weather patterns occurring across the globe with more frequency and greater destructive capability than ever before.
When we look at all these storm cells happening around the globe, it seems that the power and focus of these storms is almost being engineered. We can look at the paths of hurricanes and see that they're not random anymore.
What if there's a more sinister explanation? Something man-made? Some say there's a top-secret government device that can destroy our world. Capable of causing earthquakes, hurricanes, tsunamis. Conspiracy theorists say it can even be used to control your mind. Has the U.S. government created the ultimate weapon of war? Something more devastating than a nuclear bomb? If so, who will feel the brunt of such a terrifying technology? And what can we do to stop it? Tonight, we'll unseal the government's secret files on HAARP.
This ought to be good.
The history you were taught in school was all a lie.
It is.
Is our government controlled by a secret society?
Yep.
Welcome to the world of conspiracy, where cover-ups, secrets, and hidden agendas all trace back to a single source. We're about to unseal the secret files the government doesn't want you to know about.
I've never seen this show. This was recommended to me, and I had to bring this all to you because it was pretty interesting.
About 180 miles from Anchorage lies the solitary town of Gakona, Alaska.
Ventura did this on Conspiracy Theory or whatever
where,
it's called.
According to some, one of the most dangerous projects ever conceived by the U.S. government is currently taking place, and the public knows virtually nothing about it. It's the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, better known as HAARP.
The HAARP installation is a 35-acre facility that has over 160 antenna arrays all linked up together. They have a 3.6 million watt transmitter which shoots ELF, or extremely low frequency waves, into our ionosphere, which then bounce back to Earth, increasing exponentially in power.
The government says HAARP is merely a research facility. Some experts believe that the real
Now remember,
purpose
the
of
truth
this
will be
top-secret
somewhere in the
installation
middle.
is as a weapon against our enemies, and maybe even our own people. The potential damage caused by this facility has already proven all too real.
So there's some that theorize that these mass animal deaths are and could be connected to the HAARP installation doing these experiments, which again, we have no idea what the effects truly are.
Dairy cattle afflicted with behavioral aberrations.
Now, I never
fetal
thought
tissue,
of this.
Cataracts. Unexpected wildlife mutations have been cropping up near the radiation paths of these antennas.
I've been seeing a lot of mutated insects myself. I gotta do a video on
HAARP is in
that.
operation, and they're shooting these ELF waves up into the ionosphere, that's affecting animal migrations and herds
Or
of
massive
animals.
solar
The
flares could
list
do it
of
too.
HAARP's
So
unintentional side effects goes on.
If you are affecting whale migrations or honeybee migrations, you're not just affecting those animals, you're affecting planet Earth as a whole. People should be highly concerned if HAARP is really affecting the fundamental powers of nature.
The origin of HAARP is shrouded in mystery and deception. Unsealed case file. The HAARP patent. 1987. Houston, Texas. The patents, which would allegedly lead to HAARP, are filed by an oil company physicist.
And looking at the
yeah, and they stole them from
the
Tesla,
HAARP
you
instrumentation,
jerks.
It says here on the cover,
Of course, it had to be an oil company. They stole his free energy too, you scum.
Or magnetosphere.
The official goals of HAARP to communicate with submarines deep underwater, to search for sites of military interest using powerful radio waves, to enhance radio transmission by heating and interacting with the Earth's ionosphere. But it's the alleged unofficial goals of HAARP that most worry its detractors.
This patent has all sorts of military applications that can be employed as
If you would go ahead and want to read this, go ahead and pause it.
a warning device. It says right here, it puts
Go ahead and pause it again if you want to read this.
unprecedented amounts of power in the Earth's atmosphere.
The government continues to deny that the facility is being used in an attempt to affect the weather. But patent number 4686605 says something very different.
We're talking about a weapon. So it's very interesting that all throughout this patent, it's actually spelled out
Go ahead and pause it if you want to read all this stuff.
in black and white the actual uses for this to be some type of weather modification.
But just
Modification is possible, control is not. That's the key. They want you to think they can order up a hurricane anytime they want. Don't believe that.
because HAARP could affect the weather doesn't mean it has.
With weather manipulation, you can turn a cloudy day into a sunny day, you can turn a sunny day into a rainy day, even create a tornado out in the middle of nowhere if you live.
No, that's probably the only one I could believe they could do. If you superheat, let's say we got a cold front moving in from Canada, and say they beam HAARP up in the very center of it and superheat that air, and then you create a warm swirling vortex of air in the middle of that cold air mass, you'll get a tornado. That's about the only thing I've theorized that they could possibly do.
Wanted to.
Coming up next, are natural disasters really natural?
Of course they
Is
are.
HAARP responsible for the dramatic rise in extreme weather conditions?
Look at
And
that,
what
go
is the
back.
government? Disasters really natural? Is HAARP responsible for the dramatic rise in
Oh gee, our friend the sun. It's always the sun. You gotta look for the hidden clues.
extreme weather conditions? And what is the government planning to do about it? Unsealed. Conspiracy Files. Welcome back to the world of conspiracy. This is Unsealed Conspiracy Files.
As you can see, we got an Illuminati
Many attribute the
triangle.
upturn in severe weather around the world to man-made global warming. But with the creation of the high-powered antenna array known as HAARP, is it possible that mankind's role in the weather is more than incidental?
I think I figured out global
Is a
warming
top-secret
too.
government project actually controlling the weather? We've done it before. Unsealed case file. Operation Popeye. March 1967. The Ho Chi Minh Trail. Ground zero in the battle to control the weather. Seeking an edge in the intensified Vietnam War, the U.S. military launches a bold initiative.
Operation Popeye was a weather manipulation program during the Vietnam War. What they wanted to do was seed clouds or create clouds to then cause a torrential downpour on troops on the battlefield.
The goal? Increase rainfall and deny the North Vietnamese access to their supply routes.
And they did. They extended a monsoon season by 30 days.
Officially, the aircraft and their crews were part of normal weather recon operations. But in reality, something far more sinister was going on. And some conspiracy theorists think the government is making it happen again. Unsealed case file. Hurricane Katrina.
I gotta investigate this further. This is
August 23rd, 2005. The Bahamas. The National Weather Service begins tracking a medium-sized storm heading to Florida. Mysteriously, the unremarkable storm suddenly transforms into a Category 5 hurricane.
Now that is possible. I mean, all HAARP is the energy source. You gotta have the materials. Like if you want to bake a cake, you gotta have flour and eggs and stuff, and you gotta have an oven to cook it. All HAARP is the oven. The materials are provided by nature, so it'd have to be an opportunistic weapon at everything, at anything. So, could they energize a hurricane and make it bigger? They could energize it. That's theoretically possible, but make it bigger? I'm not sure about that. That'd be a little tougher to do, so let's see.
With winds gusting up to 175 miles per hour. Some say Hurricane Katrina was not an act of nature, but an act of war.
When Hurricane Katrina stopped, she went on a very straight path. It's not a path that most hurricanes take. It was almost a beeline. It was a beeline right through the Gulf of Mexico, aiming right at the heart of New Orleans. That was such a precise hurricane that a lot of people began to wonder, was that being manipulated?
If true, it could mean our enemies are attacking us, using the weather as a weapon. 1 year after the costliest hurricane season in U.S. history, not a single hurricane made landfall in the U.S. Is it possible that America is using HAARP to avoid attacks from our enemies?
Weather warfare and counter-weather warfare measures, each of which would be using high-frequency radio waves to control small climates over specific areas. And a lot of people think this is exactly the future of warfare.
Another coincidence? HAARP was rushed into completion right after the 2005 hurricane season. Some researchers who have been studying HAARP believe they have learned to recognize the warning signs. They're known as HAARP rings, or scalar squares.
Now, come on, man. This here.
Now, basically, what HAARP rings are these pulses of energy that turn on radar screens. You will see radar picking up circular image on a radar screen, an intense energy pulse. And then between 48 and 72 hours later, there'll be a major Earth climate event.
Is it possible that HAARP is responsible for other recent extreme weather events? Some say HAARP was the cause of atmospheric irregularities over Japan, just days before the massive earthquake and tsunami devastated the area.
No, that's not true. There was a huge solar flare just days before that happened. As we all know, it takes 2 to 3 days for all that electromagnetic and nuclear energy to get here. They're not going to blame Fukushima on HAARP. I got data on that. And it's really easy to find. Just go on YouTube and look at the solar flare a few days. When was it? March 11th, 2011? So the flare should have been like March 9th, maybe? Go check it out.
72 hours in advance of the tsunami that knocked out the Fukushima nuclear plant.
Don't let them fool you, man.
It was just such an energy pulse. Conspiracy theorists are saying if a country, let's say China, want to create a nuclear event in Japan, so they triggered an earthquake.
April 28th, 1997. Athens, Georgia. Former U.S. Defense Secretary William Cohen makes a chilling admission.
Others are engaging in an eco-type of terrorism whereby they can alter the climate, set off earthquakes, volcanoes remotely through the use of electromagnetic waves. It's real, and that's the reason why we have to intensify our efforts. William Cohen, former U.S. Defense Secretary.
Alright, I'm almost out of time on my 15 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and stop it here. We'll go ahead and pick up with part 2 here in a second. What he just said, volcanoes and earthquakes, I don't know. I don't buy the earthquake machine either. I mean, the fracking, yeah, but they're like 2.0s and stuff like that, so I don't know. Tesla, again, was claiming about the earthquake machine, so I'd believe him over anybody, but who knows? Let's just keep investigating.